Mike, great job. Republicans move out, Libertarians quietly move in. That's the story of this year. Now, typically the Treasurer's report is the report of what's the reality of the party. And I'm going to talk about some reality here, and some of it's not going to look too good for when you just glance at it. Republicans move out, Libertarians quietly move in. For a few years, since I've been the treasurer, I've been doing the report. You know, did everyone get a copy of the report? If anyone needs a copy of the report, please raise your hand and we'll get you a copy of the report. Oh my goodness, I thought they already distributed them. We will fix that right away so that you know what the heck I'm talking about. In the meantime, so I'm going to skip to some of my remarks that weren't directly about the numbers until you can actually see the numbers. You're going to hear a lot about what great advantage we can make of technology and investing in technology. And you know, I've been in IT for 20 years. I've done computer security for the last 14 years. And so saying that I believe in technology, you know, seems pretty obvious. And it is pretty obvious. We did the same thing back in 2008, was it? 2007? I forget. When we converted our database to Donor Perfect. And Donor Perfect is a good, professional, stable platform that gave us one thing that we didn't have before Donor Perfect, and that was, again, stability. We knew that data would be stored in one place, it would always be accessible, always be backed up. We could count on having the data year after year after year. We didn't have to go back and ask somebody for a spreadsheet that disappeared or, you know, was on the laptop that got left in the taxi that got stolen. However, when we went to Donor Perfect, there was another thought that was going around, which is this. This is a system for professional fundraisers, and so it is going to make us fundraise. Guess what? Technology doesn't make people do stuff. Technology allows them to do stuff. Okay? You still have to have people to do it. And in fundraising particularly, I'm going to talk about fundraising, because when you see the numbers, the fundraising numbers don't look that great this year. I'm going to talk about fundraising because the goal for this year is to improve our fundraising. But it's not enough to have the technology. You have to have the people that do it. And the people depend on more than technology. They depend upon an internal infrastructure, which includes having the message to give to people. It includes having the confidence that you can give it by giving practice, and to have coaching and the education that allows you to go out and do the fundraising. Otherwise, you ask people to do fundraising, and I've done this a couple of times in my career as treasurer so far, and they go glassy-eyed because without knowing that they have those support structures as well as the technology, it's like the first time you went out on the diving board. So the goals this year include increasing fundraising, but you just can't say increasing fundraising. I can't stand up here and say, who's going to fundraise for us this year? Because that's not going to work. That's like the first time out on the diving board. We have to build the internal infrastructure, the confidence, not only the technology, but the confidence in you, so that when you talk to your friend, you think to yourself, you know, this might be a little scary, but it's not as scary as it was because I know these things now. This year we're looking for a few, I hate to say high-value donors because all of our donors are valued, but you know what I mean, high-dollar donors. Okay? So we can build a program that does more of the stuff that we know that works. So is there anyone who hasn't got a copy of the report now? Okay, come on. Where's the report? We printed a bunch of them. Okay, we're not perfect.
Can you tell us what the high value donor, when you talk about high value donor, how much you talking about?
I'm talking about the 10,000 and above.
For a single person?
For a single person. Mid-range donors are usually considered it used to be 500, now it's probably 1,000, up to 5,000 or 10,000. And then, the guy who gives what he can is the smaller donor, but not, to me, not less valuable. I mean, in California, of course, I have to say that.
Can I give you two?
But it's true, because everybody who's given what they can is doing all they can and is on an equal footing. Okay, so we got a hand up in the back. We got a problem with this?
One more.
Can we put it up on the screen? You're not going to have to record it. Can we? Okay, we're going to put it up on the screen. So let's see what else I can talk about. I've got. So asking you just to go out and fundraise isn't enough. We have to give you more support than that, and I think we recognize that. And the things that we're going to ask you to do is one thing, and that says, I'm willing to help. If you say, I'm willing to help, then we've got to find a way to bring you step by step to the point where you're, well, nobody is confident the first time asking, but it's not so scary that you won't go out and do it. So we have to do it gently, we have to do it step by step, and we have to find the right role for you and the right message for you and for the folks that you're going to talk to. So let's do a health check. If you will say, I'm willing to help, stand up. And that's about half of it. You know what? You can go ahead and sit down again. Thanks. It's, I don't know where to escapes me, but it would be facile for me to say that's a health check on the state of the party. But I don't think that's necessary. But thinking about it again, I don't think that's necessarily so. Because those who didn't stand up, it may be just because we still haven't provided enough of the support that make you even confident that you're willing to stand up and say you're willing. So I'm not going to be as fast and say 50% means that that's all we've got as far as willing. But on the other hand, I'm going to say that's pretty darn good. So the executive committee, so for years I've been doing a number called operating reserve. Now this is typically, so I went to Compass Point when I first started as treasurer and said, oh my goodness, how do nonprofits do treasurer stuff? And so I took their class in it, and one of the things that most nonprofits do is publish their operating reserve in months. The operating reserve means from the money in the bank now, if we got no more money in, how many months could we survive? And that number from when I started, it was in the high 2s, low 3s, and it's been bouncing around 5 and 6 for the last couple of years. So, at 5 and 6, most nonprofits say if you've got 6 months of operating reserve, you're doing really, really well. And I was telling the executive committee, we're doing really, really well at this point. And it's appropriate for you to say, let's invest some of that money. And this year, the executive committee decided to invest some of that money. And you'll see the results on the financial statements. You'll see that our net income was $18,000 less than it was the previous year. That's money that we invested. Now you'll see that we invested it in magazine, web, outreach, and media, which nowadays means free book, pretty much. And you'll also see that we invested it in a way that's not obvious, that we had $10,000 fewer donations. Fundraising and donations was down $10,000. Okay? Fundraising and donations takes time. When we moved the office, we took essentially 2 months of Bo's time and threw it into moving the office. That's an investment in getting where we are today, which was the Republicans move out, the Libertarians quietly move in. That's what the executive committee decided to do, because they knew that it was something that would move us forward. And I think that there's evidence that it's already been working. So, now you can, whether you've got a copy or on the screen, you can see the report. We budgeted actually for initially a loss of $700, and the actual results were a loss of $36.40 over the year. So for a treasurer, that's bad but not terrible. I mean, the budgeting process is a guess, just always to a large extent. It looks bad that we lost, that we're $18,000 less than the previous year. Unless you consider that $18,000 went to that investment of being here in Sacramento, a few blocks down the street from all the guys who are making the rules that we object to, so that we can walk into their office and tell them we object. However, at the end of the year, the bank account wasn't too bad. If you look down lower in the balance sheet, you'll see that we were only $2,400 less in the bank than we were the year before. We paid off, and we paid off, and Bo and I got together for 2 days in my apartment in San Jose and went through all the history of the county allocations and reconciled all of those and paid off all of those as of the end of December. We were at 0, and we've put those, and now we're just, it used to be accounted through a separate system. Now it's just now we just account through a normal accounts payable type system, and it's easy to see, every month, every 3 months, when we need to cut the check, how much the check we need to cut is for. So we streamlined the processes there. One of the reasons that the bank account wasn't in such as bad as it would look from the net profit is because some of our expenses, I think we've reduced some of our expenses. And I want to do more of that by helping to automate the back office systems more for the accounting, because right now we've got 4 different revenue processors that all have to have a manual journal created in order to get to the final accounting numbers. And I want to clean all that up. And you can help me do that in the bylaws committee. There's going to be a bylaw about county allocations and how that's done. And so Bo proposed that, and I support it, and that is to make renewals of fixed split, 50-50. So actually the counties the counties now, unless they got the renewal, they get 40%. So we want to bump that up to 50% and make it so that they're focused on the new members, in which they get 100%. And we can put in the automated and online systems, because members nowadays, if you're a member of an organization, you expect it to be online, you expect it to be automated, you expect it to go there and take care of it once a year or however often you renew that membership. And getting a call from somebody in the county is good, but not because you're renewing your membership. That's expected, that's a separate system that's taken care of. And if somebody from the county calls you, it's because they want to talk to you. So I want to do that, and to help me do that, to help me automate it, to increase the choices I have for software to do that, it helps to have a fixed split rather than one kind of split for this transaction and another kind of split for that transaction. Okay? That's the purpose. When we get to that bylaw, that's the purpose of that bylaw, and I apologize for out of turn, arguing for that. Actually, I don't. So that'll help us keep the costs down on the back end. And we saw that when we took Bo's time away from fundraising, in order to move the office, fundraising went down. Now that may not be the only reason, but that's an effect. I'm trying to give back more of Bo's time by putting less into the bookkeeping, and so that's my focus on the infrastructure for this year. Right now, operating reserve 5.2 months. That's pretty darn good. So some of the numbers you look at. Superficially, they don't look too bad, or they don't look too good. But when you look at our operating reserve, we have a decent operating reserve. We still have money in the bank. I don't have the numbers on the attendance of the convention yet. Gail and I worked on the pricing for the convention. Some people wanted, a free, no floor fees at all. And when we looked at the prices for the thing, I just didn't think we could do that. But we did cut it in half. So you're welcome. And so hopefully the numbers will show that it increased. If the attendance increased, cool. Then let's look at doing that again. If they didn't, then that may be just one data point, but may be an indicator of whether we want to continue pushing for the lower floor fees at all. So, Kevin, did you want to allow questions? No, yes, no?
Open it up and say.
I mean, these are numbers, so there's probably going to have to be some questions, but Ted?
Yes. One thing that's disturbing here is under income, remember, membership dues renewal and membership dues new. You're only showing like $3,900 of income from renewal memberships and $3,200 of income from new members, which if we're assuming $25 of membership, we only have like 156 renewals and 132 new members. I mean, and that's what's in the budget for next year is similar. Is there any plan to actually renew our members or get new members? So, I mean, that's where the revenue comes from. We used to have as many as like 6,000 or 7,000 members, and to have just a few hundred, it's like, is there any information on that?
Yes, there is. Because right around the same time, I was making out these budget numbers, and we had the budget meeting the first week of December. We were just becoming aware of the increase in the registrations for Libertarians. So that provides, now it looks like it provides a large opportunity for us to go out and do some more marketing for memberships. So that is in the plan. And so Kevin can talk about that. Mike talked about it a little bit. Yeah, you're right. You're right that we should have more members. And we have 15,000 new registrants. If we get 1 in 100, that pretty much doubles those numbers, doesn't it? Yeah. So we have an opportunity. Joe, come up to the mic if you want.
I think we can all agree we want to see as many new members as possible, but I have a continuing question about the meaning of the numbers here. On the page that's labeled income and expenses, I see a little bit more than $7,000 related to membership. On the first page, I see less than $6,000. Is that because one is a net figure? Are they different time periods? How does this relate to the split between the counties and the state parties, which is going to come up as a bylaws question? Can you elaborate on what the membership revenue actually, the revenue picture,
Yes.
break down the membership picture into how many memberships actually come in, how much money goes to the counties versus shows up here, and whether these are net figures? Thanks.
Okay, on the back, on the what I call page 2, on the back page, this is a typical presentation. Yeah, that's a typical presentation of an accounting data, and that's a useful presentation. But I knew that I wanted a different one because some of these accounts are used for different activities. And so the QuickBooks that we use allows me to classify each transaction besides its account. And I use that facility in QuickBooks. And so on page 1, I've taken the numbers and classified them by activity: memberships, fundraising, convention, magazine, administration. And those numbers there are the net for that particular activity. And you'll get that net if you go back, if you go to page 2 and you are able to pick out. So in income, you don't, basically I don't have to classify it because those accounts don't cross over. In expenses, they often do. So it's tough for you to pick it out which one of those, how much of those expenses went to any particular one of the activities. But I knew that I knew that Aaron would want this page, and some people like me would like the first page, so I put in both of them. So you probably can't use your calculator and get those numbers on the front directly from the numbers on the back, because some of the numbers on the expense numbers are split in different categories, classes. Okay, sorry, Sean. Okay.
I just had a question about dues sharing reports. I can't speak for other counties, but I can speak for San Diego County that we still have an issue with dues sharing reports that haven't been reconciled for at least 6 months. And I can't speak for...
Internally to the county?
Well, it works both ways, right? The state party renews members, the county parties renew members, and we each initially keep the $25. At some point, we have to reconcile the reports and figure out who owes who what.
Right.
And it just seems like that process has been slow and cumbersome in the last couple of years. And I'm just wondering, does the state party just have one person working on this? Or are you involved in this? And are you aware of these issues? Because at this point, I know in San Diego, we probably owe the state party at least $1,500 in dues sharing. But it's not getting done because they can't do on these reports. So,
okay.
What is the state party's process for reconciling this so that you can get all that money? Because you could have, we could have
This is the first I've heard about
$20,000.
amounts that large. So, you know, I can't say. So we need to take that part offline and get that straight up there. This week we received a check from San Diego.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so
Okay, well, I'm glad that's finally getting
the
done.
treasurer is the last to know.
Well, that's bad.
So we will, no, it's the way it works. So Bo Bo does the low-level bookkeeping, and then I take over from there and adjust the processes when they aren't working. And we may need to adjust this process, but it's going to take work between the county and me. So it's going to be more than me and Bo to get involved there, and we'll fix that.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
All right. Aaron?
Thank you, by the way, for all that you're doing, all the officers, the executive committee. I really appreciate the time and effort. It's a volunteer effort, and sometimes we don't say thank you often. So I just want to first of all say thank you. I do have a request for future treasury reports. It's often helpful if you can have a year-to-year comparison. So, for example, you've got the 2012 actual. It would be helpful on that sheet to also have the 2011 actual for this page. It's up on the screen.
Okay, so it's on page 1.
It's just nice. I think that I'm not really certain that Joe's questions were completely answered. So let me see if I can ask him in a different way. When I look at the accounts 5210 and 5212 for membership dues renewal, and membership dues new, I guess my first question would be: is that a figure that is net? That's the state's portion.
On the back page is not net.
Okay, so if that's not net, I'm guessing.
It's not gross either. The county share is not included in that.
Okay, so if that's the case, then what I would probably expect to see is some sort of expense line item, and maybe it's there and I'm just not seeing it, for the amounts that go to the counties.
No, it goes to accounts payable. So there's no expense line.
It's, okay, so what you're saying is that this isn't that figure up in the top. What you're
Yeah.
saying is that the only portion that you're recording in revenues is the portion that the state is entitled to. The rest of it is treated as a liability to. Okay. So that helps me with that. Do you have an idea of how much money was actually dispensed to the counties during the year?
I think it was between $3,000 and $4,000.
Okay, and that would make sense. Another question on the membership dues renewal figure and the membership dues new figure. Are all those figures the dues that come in? I assume that some people pay dues for more than $25, or is it's always anything over and above $25? Is that treated as a donation somewhere?
Yes.
Got it. So then what I'm hearing you say is that if I were to take $25, let's say, and divide it, just take 60% or 40% of that figure, $10. That $10 would be the amount that would be recorded for each membership dues renewal figure, renewal that comes in there, right?
Everyone that the county gets, but the state gets most of the counties. Counties only got less than 10 renewals this year.
Okay, so the rule is for, how does the split work? So the split work differently when the county collects it
Yes.
versus the state? Can you refresh my memory?
They get 15, currently they get 15 if they've gotten a renewal.
Okay, and
Typically they get,
okay, so
they do get 10, yeah.
okay, so somewhere between $10 and $15 is the renewal figure typically. So if I would take 3,904 divided by somewhere between 10 and 15, I would come up with the number of members that renew during the year. Thank you.
Okay.
Ray Castaneda from Los Angeles County. I have a comment, if you can comment on it, and it references what is.
I don't think they can hear you. Can you speak into the mic?
Sure, can everybody hear me now? Yes. Okay, I'm referencing what Ted John says, and if you could comment on it more, and correct me if I'm misinterpreting what he was mentioning, is that the concern is that our memberships, that we're getting has been dropping. And I think that was his concern. Not necessarily that we're not getting new members, which I believe we should, which would help our membership dues new, but that our membership dues renewal, that has been dropping, and that really more is a concern. If you would comment on it.
I think that's true, but I don't think that's not a new phenomenon, which is prevaricating. I understand that. One of the reasons that I want to get the back-end systems modernized is to reduce the friction of managing your membership and renewing your membership. Just like we think that a lot of those 15,000 additional voter registrations came from the reduced friction of being able to register, do voter registration online. So that's my comment. That's my comment on that.
Don Coleman from Nevada County. I just wondered, as far as last year being an election year, because I run a booth at Nevada County Fair, and I know I put a lot of money into Gary Johnson bumper stickers, buttons, shirts, hats, handouts, door hangers. So all that money went to other than the state. Do you think that the presidential election had a large effect on the donations to the state?
I believe that there was an effect there, but I can't gauge the effect. Joe?
I want to thank Aaron for trying to tease out this membership, these membership figures. But my feeling is that if we're going to be voting on a bylaw change that relates to how the dues revenue is split, the delegates really should have a clear picture of what's been going on in recent years. Can you tell us how many memberships, new memberships, and how many renewals came in each through the state party and through county parties during the year that this report covers?
Not this time.
Can you provide those numbers before the bylaws debate?
It depends upon those times.
Are you saying you don't know how many memberships we had
Yeah,
coming in last year?
that's what I'm saying. And that's one of the reasons that I want to make sure that we have a membership management system that allows easy data access, easy metrics for that. That's a manual process right now, and that really sucks.
Okay, here's a slightly different question. Can you tell me how many current voting members of the State Central Committee there are?
Not off the top of my head, but I think there's 300. That's he will get that for you.
Okay, thank you. Can it be reported to the body before the bylaws debate?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mark.
Hey, so I'm a little confused as to why there's a breakdown in why a count of membership can't come forward. Donor Perfect was actually purchased when I was chair of the California Party, when Ron Ross was our executive director. And I think we had upwards to about 7,500 dues-paying members, monthly pledge program, and we were always able to tell how many dues-paying members there were. So I'm wondering what's broken down since then. Because over the last year, I know I've repeatedly asked you how many dues-paying members we have, and which several others have done the math. If you look at the membership income, I come up with 287 members, not counting obviously lifetime members.
Right.
And frankly, when I took over as state chair in '97, one of the reasons why I took over is because we were at a depressed 2,000 members, and people were very despondent of the future of the party. And now it looks like we're about 1/7 of that, so it's looking pretty dire.
First off, the Donor Perfect was under my predecessor, Aaron Starr's administration. That was when we had approved that. Correct? Yes. So, I want to double check this. I have it on a spreadsheet here because he's got a May column. I think because it's a forward thing. But according to the spreadsheet that I have 1,074 members, which is up. We've been kind of above the 700 level for a long time. And remember, we split the members from the National Party 6 years ago, where we lost a lot of people because they only want to donate to the National Party and not to the state party. With the, you guys remember 6 years ago, I forget.
2004, 2005.
2004, and it was implemented during my start of my administration on 2006, 2007. So the joint membership pump, since that had gone away because of the finance laws and other reasons, then membership has gone down. But let me get a confirmation of the spreadsheet so I'm reading it to you correctly, and we'll get it on the screen.
So quoting the UMP numbers really isn't applicable to the numbers today. And if you're trying to make that case, Mark, I'm saying that case doesn't hold.
Well, but again, I mean, if you look at the national party memberships here in California, I think it's right around 1,800. And obviously that's substantially more than what the California Party is doing.
800 more.
Yeah. So, and that ratio is a lot better in other states. The National Party ratio, I've looked at Texas, I've looked at Florida, the number 2 and 3 states, and the ratio is much better in those states. So, okay, we seem to be underperforming. There's a reason.
Okay, so questions about the report?
Mr. Treasurer, my name is Grant Hyden. I'm a new member this year from San Ramon, Contra Costa County. First, just quickly, thank you for your good work and your service to the community and party preparing this. I have a question for you that's a border between your service on the financial side as well as the political platform. Given the downward trends that we're seeing in terms of membership and income, do you believe that the downward trends have any relationship to perhaps a lack of coherent economic policy of the party, coherent economic engine in the platform?
These numbers do not constitute a trend downward. And I explained that it was an investment made this year. If you look at the previous years, the trend was upward. So, and I understand you may not know that being new to the party.
Again, I am new, but I understood that party active membership was.
Okay, now active membership is.
Well, that's what I'm speaking of course,
okay.
Because people are the engine of the party, of course, are time.
Yes.
So the active membership, there is no downward trend over time here from a previous high.
There has been a slight downward trend, I believe. But all of your other questions, the answer is no.
So you find no relationship with the party's internal fiscal situation, no relationship to its outward platform and its message to the public.
And it's our platform and
Well, then they just put it simply. Your current internal economic situation bears no relationship to the outward economic message of the party. You see no relationship philosophically.
it was relation to the message of the party. Sure. Gail.
Gail Morgan, Sacramento County. We have been active in recruiting both membership and voters in Sacramento County. Both those numbers are up. And I think every other county can do the same thing we've done there. I've, in the past few months, visited a number of the other counties, and I see some encouraging signs. I haven't traveled more than about 3 counties in any direction, but I've seen some really positive numbers in our area. And I think that some of the other counties could match what we're doing without much effort. So, but my question is, if we were to re-implement the UMP, what effect would that have on your report? And would that give us a much rosier picture? Or would the overhead in doing something like that not be worth it?
I'm not prepared to answer that. I haven't done an analysis of that.
Okay.
But obviously the membership and the revenue numbers were higher during UMP than they have been since.
Okay.
The variable in that is what would be the cost of going to UMP? And would that be more than the increase?
That would cause us to be a federal reporter.
You gotta come up to the mic, Aaron, otherwise they may not be able to hear you.
I don't think
Is that it? Aaron. in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. Thank you.